The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Welcome to another episode of Speaking with the Senator, and today I really have a wonderful privilege of interviewing a former guest. She's come a long way. Years ago she's been on my show, and I'd like to introduce you to the Speaker Pro Tem, Kim Rice. Is it Kim or Kimberly or Kim?
It's Kimberly when I'm in trouble with my dad.
Okay, well, I'm not your
so
dad.
Call me Kim.
Kim. Well, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
We had you on years ago, and I think you've come a long way. You weren't a politician back then.
No, you're actually the whole reason I ran for office. You told me to get involved, so I did.
Well, you're doing a good job.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I have to say that.
Surprise, surprise, you do,
No,
right?
No,
surprise, surprise.
You're doing a good job, and I think that's kind of one of the reasons why I have you on the show today is because you have come a long way. A lot of issues that are coming before the House and before the Senate, and a lot of different factions just in the Republican Party.
Absolutely.
Are you experiencing that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
How
are you dealing with that?
You just keep pushing forward,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll work with anyone in our party. We do what we can as long as people understand, you're not going to get everything you want, but if we can get you 80% there,
right,
then that's an achievement, because that's one of the things I learned my first term was I'll take every baby step in the world to get to my ultimate goal. I cannot have an all or nothing mentality.
And I think sometimes that's what people have when they get in there, and they quickly learn that coalitions have to be recognized.
Yes.
I use the illustration Israel. Take Israel for instance. That in Israel there are so many factions of their parliamentary government. You have the Likud, you have the Labor, you have a host of others. But in order for their government to work, they have to build a coalition, say like with us, the Libertarians, the general Republicans, the moderates, the social moderates, the conservatives. And there's a host. We're a big umbrella. And so they're coming at you from a different viewpoint. And so there's a lot of emotion there.
There is a lot of emotion. And, but the one thing I say that the big difference between the Republicans and the Democrats is that the Republicans are definitely independent thinkers. They don't all follow the straight and narrow road. We all branch off into our, own beliefs. But in the end, we do come together for the greater good. It just takes a lot of, what can we do today, to get it done.
And you've worked along with Democrats as well, from what I understand. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you have to.
You have to.
Right.
I mean, the thing I say about Democrats is that, I think a lot of times we want the same end goal, but we go about it differently. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that it's good to have that, because then you listen to every side. Just because it's a Democrat's idea, if they throw something my way, I may be able to branch off on that, and then we can come together and say, hey, this is going to make it even better.
Right. And we've worked in the Senate. It's the same way.
Yeah.
You find something that you can work with a Democrat. It makes it a lot easier, especially sometimes even if you get resistance in your own party. But if you're doing the right thing, you're doing the right thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So a lot of different voices, a lot of different things going on. We had the campaigns end with COVID at its peak. We lost our speaker.
Yes, that was horrible. That was horrible. Dick and I were very good friends. He was a mentor to me.
Very happy man.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I never knew anyone so happy. And
Yeah.
he always just made you feel really special.
Yep.
And you were the most important person right there at that moment. And what you had to say mattered. I learned a lot from him.
Yeah, he had a pretty interesting background too. Apparently, he was a lot more accomplished person than I understood. You know, I just you see these figures out there, and you don't realize how much public service that this man has actually been
Yes.
engaged with.
And I was actually, at that time, I was studying to get my real estate license to work under him,
Ah.
to which he encouraged me to do. I haven't gone back to it yet. It's still hard,
Yeah.
not going to lie. You know, it's still hard. And we had his memorial finally, which, you know, was nice to be able to have that closure. But again, it just opened everything up again. And so it was tough.
Well, the new speaker, he seems to be doing pretty well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sherm's doing great. You
And-
know, he has really pulled us together, and we worked really hard with the budget, trying to make sure that everyone was satisfied with it. On the Republican side, anyway, you know,
There was a lot of internal fighting with this.
there was,
Yeah,
there was
a lot of
but
hot issues.
a lot of hot issues. People are very passionate about things, and COVID really brought out a lot of issues that, you know, thankfully we were able to address a lot of them, you know, I mean, and then of course we had to make sure that it got to the governor and got signed.
And I think that's one of the things that people lose sight of. For right now, I mean, there's a slim margin, and I think there was
Very slim.
one person just resigned the other day.
Now I think we're down to 9.
9. So that's a very slim margin, and in order to build that coalition within that margin, there's no room for error
No, there's not.
if you want to get something passed. And so the people that are looking for perfection, you have to remember that slim margins are not veto-proof.
Right. And I always remember, I think back, you know, to my first term, and I was gung-ho and I was going to fix everything, right? And then I learned really quick, nope, I'm not. Just sit back, learn a few things. And
I think that's one of the things I learned also as a rep is, you know, you have a lot of learning to do. And so find something that you agree with and try to help somebody, lift them up, help them with their agenda, as long as it's your agenda as well. And you can learn the ropes as you go, and build friendships and coalitions and learn the process. It's so difficult to learn this process when you're a newbie.
so my first term, I ended up being an interim vice chair. I had no idea what I was doing. And then my second term, when Speaker Jasper was elected speaker and wanted to do away with Children and Family Law Committee, I said, okay, my thinking on that was I'll get 3 other committees to hear all these same problems that we're hearing. Right. So I was okay with that, to give it a shot, but of course it failed. So at that moment, where this came from, I don't know, but I ran up to his office and said, you have to make me chair. Went in there. I had no idea what I was doing. And I will tell you, thank goodness for the seasoned reps, Republicans and Democrats. Helped to make me the best chair I could be.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think that's one of the things, if you can recognize some of your weaknesses and learn to glean from other people that have been up the road, and not stepping on them, but building them up in the process, I think you can get a lot accomplished that way.
Yeah.
And that's one of your passions, of course, was children and family. That's one of the things we interviewed you about years ago. Which brings me into another topic. Right now, there's this whole... there's a lot of people that want a special session.
Special session,
an emergency session, get us back in there. And I'm holding back because here we're seeing, well, they want the state to get involved in a local issue. And I think one of the problems that we're having here is that for years, people put their heads in the sand.
Yep.
They don't get involved. Well, that's politics, and I don't know anything, and I'm too busy with my life. Well, when it starts hurting you, then you start getting involved, and you're starting to see that there's a local problem
Yes.
that needs fixing, but you don't know how to fix it because you've been out of touch. So you turn to the state and you say, we want you to intervene, which in itself is a problem. So my suggestion to the people that are pushing for an emergency session so that the state gets involved with these mask mandates, I'm saying, hold it, get off your butt, get involved locally, call your school board, get engaged, It is not the state's responsibility what happens locally on your local school board, because once you surrender that to the state, you open up that camel's tent, the camel puts his nose under the tent,
Right.
and the state controls everything, and you lose your local control.
Right.
So I'm sure you're seeing a lot of requests for these emergency sessions.
I am, and I am not in favor of it. I do believe, that we really need to keep local issues local. We're a very diverse state. What affects my district may not be good for up north. We're so different, and I also think that people that want to get involved, that because now they're coming out and yelling, they're not happy about the mask mandates. When you do go to your school board, please remember to be respectful. We're all humans.
Right.
I think that, I know for me, if someone comes into my committee and starts screaming, I shut them out.
Yeah,
That's because I'm a human. I wouldn't treat them like that, and I would expect.
And
to
when
be
they come to
treated
my committee,
the
they're
same
treated
way.
with great respect.
Exactly.
Even if I don't agree with them, I
Right.
will let them be heard. I won't interrupt them. No gotcha questions. It's more of a let's let it out and let's digest it, and don't make any knee-jerk reactions. Now,
Right.
Keene, I believe the Keene School Board said no mask mandates. Nashua says mask mandates. So it's going to be diverse. But once you have the state coming in and saying, look, all of you, then they can do it for anything.
I mean, because for all you know, all right, with Hudson, we're right on the Massachusetts border. Suppose we have some serious outbreak, right? And Hudson says, hey, I think we need to wear masks for a couple of weeks. Once the state's involved, you can't make that decision. So
Right.
even if it's what's best for your district at that time, once the state's in there, forget about it.
Right.
And parents need to know, we passed education savings accounts. If you are not happy with the mask mandate at your school, take your tax dollars and move your kids somewhere else.
Now you have a choice.
You have a choice, which I can't be more excited over this, just for the families of this state,
Right.
to be able to make that choice for their kids if it's not working for their kid at a certain school. Not only that, it's going to create some healthy competition. I think our public schools are going to step up their game, and I think it's going to be great for our kids all around, because that's what this is about. This is about the kids.
Right.
This isn't about a
The
brick and mortar
institution.
building.
Right.
This isn't about a teacher or the teachers union. This is about the kids. And that's what we need to remember. And I worry that we get off that track sometimes.
I think we've repeated that a number of times on this show, on Carl Seidel's show, Dave Schoeneman's show, that the taxpayers are not there to worship the institution, but rather the institution is there to educate the child.
Right.
And if you're not happy as a parent, now you have options in charter schools, which are public schools.
Yes.
Which are doing a great job at a fraction of the cost. The child savings account is a wonderful alternative. It's a national movement, and it is really helping a lot of the inner city kids that don't traditionally have that choice.
Right.
It allows them to step, if they're in poverty, at least 300% of the poverty level, it lets them advance if they want to.
God, give them a chance.
Give 'em a chance, right.
Let's give these kids a shot. There are so many kids who a big classroom just doesn't work for.
Right.
And it breaks my heart when I hear from families who are stuck, because that's not what's in the best interest of that child.
Right.
And I don't think that, I think that everyone should be passionate about that. It shouldn't even be a political issue.
I know, and it has turned into it, because I think there are powers to be that want to increase the power of the institution, of the traditional institution, rather than empower the kids. And the funny thing is when a child starts tuning out. I'm not an educator, but I was a student, and I was one of those students that tuned out. And you can get in all kinds of trouble as a kid, and you end up losing that self-respect because you're not as smart as the Abby Emmons.
Yeah,
or
your
the-
self-worth, your self-esteem goes down, and
you tune out.
yes, absolutely.
And so,
And you're constantly looking for an escape from that.
correct.
Right?
Right.
So then you start skipping school.
And identifying
not-
with other kids that
Yes.
maybe, that they identify with you. So, hey, we're the unwashed, if you will. We're the
Right.
uneducated. I'm tuning out. I'm just going to go do my own thing. And I think that that's a tragedy because it's a prophecy that you put out yourself and you identify with your own poor self-image. And I think that happens
Yeah.
more and more. So this gives the kids opportunities, whether you want to go to the science or you want to go to the science charter school here in,
Yeah.
in Nashua, or the micro society, or something that will just bring out the best in you.
Exactly. And that's what we should be hoping for all our kids, right? I just think that this is such an amazing opportunity. And if a child needs to be homeschooled for health reasons, that child can be homeschooled now.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just, there's so many opportunities out there. Let's not tie these families' hands.
Yeah, and there is a misnomer that that's going to raise your taxes, and it's sad that that's out there because, again, that's politicizing things. But when these organizations, or whether you're even homeschooling, reduce the cost of education, I don't see how that's raising your local
I
taxes.
don't see it either.
So that was one of the issues that I wanted to bring up, is the fact that when you were struggling with an issue, instead of pointing the finger and yelling, you got engaged.
Yes. Yes, I did.
You got engaged. You put out the sign, "I'm running,"
Yep.
and you got elected.
Yep.
And you took the chance. You came out on a show. You spoke up, and then you said, "You know what? Ding, 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 ding. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make a difference." Harry Bean's another one like
Yes.
that. He came on the show years ago. He's from up the Gilmington area, or Guilford. And I said, "Hey, look, it's time for you to get engaged. You step up to the plate and make a difference." And he was another one that got involved. And I think if somebody wants to get involved, how hard is it?
I don't think it's that hard at all. You pay $2 and file, and then I think the hardest part for me was raising money. I
Yeah.
don't like
I
asking
don't either.
people
No,
for money,
I don't
but
either.
you know, as long as you get out there and talk to people, for example, we have Hudson Old Home Days this weekend. That is like my favorite thing because all the residents from town come there. I get to talk to everybody. I love it. Just be visible, you know, and talk to people, be respectful. And when people call you with a problem, you know, you have to legitimately care, you
Oh,
know,
yeah, of course.
and be straight up honest with them. You know, if it's not something I feel I can get 100% behind, I will send them to someone who can.
Right.
Because I want them to have a fair shot of getting their issue dealt, but I may not agree with it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, but, you know, I want them to feel valued. And then once I ran, I guess it takes as much time commitment as you choose to put into it. You know, you have committee once a week usually and a house session for, you know, about 6 months. And
Right.
even house session, not every week. But then, you know, the more you get into it,
Yeah, and generally there's a topic that may interest you, which will be the genesis of you wanting to get involved, whether
Right.
it's emergency orders, whether it's masks, whether it's your local property taxes, energy, environment. You could name the issue that is being worked on the state, and you can get engaged. And I think that's one of the ways you can make a difference. You know, the pay is great.
oh yeah, that $100 a year, I don't know what I'd do without it.
Yeah, I know, right? And that's one of the things I have an issue with them calling us politicians.
Yeah.
I think in New Hampshire, we are the epitome of public servants.
Absolutely.
It's not money based.
No.
And you know, calling us politicians is almost an insult because we're actually up there serving you. We're doing the job
Right.
of the people and trying to serve everybody
Right.
in a real way.
And we're just everyday people.
Right.
I was a bartender. You know what I mean? And now I'm the speaker pro tem. You know what I mean? I don't know how that happened. but
Well, you stepped up to the
but
plate, but it doesn't
happened, yeah.
come to you. You actually have to step up to the
You
plate.
do, yeah.
Hey, is your Senator Carson?
Yes.
So I consider her one of my mentors.
Yes.
And her and Senator Bertzel, and of course Senator Bradley, of all people. Believe it
Right.
or not.
Yes. Yes.
He knows how to get things done. But
He
Senator
does.
Carson, she's not afraid to go against the grain, or
Yep.
to say, hey, look, I disagree with you, even in her own party.
Yep.
And she's very intelligent,
She really is.
hard worker.
Get a lot from her.
Yeah, and you know, as long as you're respectful with her,
Yeah.
she's extremely approachable. But there are times where she'll say, "Hey, Kevin."
And you're like, oh boy.
Oh, I'm in trouble. Between her and Senator Birdsall, but a very accomplished person,
Yeah.
very, very well spoken, and I know she works really hard.
She
She's-
really does.
I think she's on not family law, just
Judiciary. She's
Judiciary.
my counterpart in
Yeah.
the Senate, so we work really closely together anyways. You know.
So, what do you see coming up this next coming session? Are you seeing things that you want to work on? Is there any projects that you have in mind?
Well, I
Or do you have to step back and just watch?
I do, a couple of things. I'm looking into another shared parenting. I'm not sure how far that's going to go yet, because if it's going to be done, I want to do it right.
Right.
I think the big thing that we'll have this coming term will be redistricting, of course.
Right.
I think there'll be a lot more election integrity bills will come forward. I don't particularly plan on putting a lot in, because I am so busy that I only want to be able to keep track of like maybe 2 bills that I have to really follow and be on top of.
I think it was Representative Itza. I don't know if he's. I don't know if it's still around, but he was on a committee that tried to get rid of old bills.
Yes, we're actually working on that. Not old bills, but outdated
bills.
regulations.
Right.
And yes, we are looking into that, and we're also working on getting rid of outdated, committees, commissions, and boards that you have to appoint people to, but they never meet. I mean, it's so time consuming.
Yes, and as a senator, you're put on at least a dozen of
Yes.
them, and it's really difficult to
As
make
the
them
chair
all.
of Children and Family Law, you're put on a lot of things too.
Yeah, and the reason I brought that up is the fact that every year you're looking at 800 to 1,300 bills, new laws that are coming out. Hey, when do we get rid of some of the old ones?
Right.
It's after a while they stack up, and you're trying to make things fit
Yep.
into a round peg that's a square. It just sometimes it doesn't fit. So you really got to work at getting rid of some of the old
And
stuff.
we have people that do dig into that now, and I know that they are this time around to try to get rid of a lot of the useless things that are on the books now that don't.
Are you being requested to? A lot of people asking for a forensic audit to you.
Yes. Yes.
Now, what is your? How are you approaching that? I know there's a
Have
lot.
you contacted the Secretary of State's
Oh
office?
my gosh, and that's
Because, I understand people are concerned, but we just can't go willy-nilly. I mean, they did the Wyndham audit. We found out what was wrong,
Right.
but people are choosing not to believe that. So I really wonder, Kevin, if
no matter what you found.
no matter what we find, is it ever going to be enough if it's not the outcome that they want?
One of the things that I've been bringing up is the fact that so you want the state to get involved with an audit. Okay, I understand your passion. You want the integrity of the vote to be there.
Right.
However, you have to remember, again, we talked about it in the beginning, local control.
Yeah.
If you're not happy with the machines, you can call your selectmen, your aldermen, your city councilors, and you can say, ask for emergency local,
Yes.
because it's a local issue. It's not a
Yes.
state issue. If you don't want those machines, then you have to get involved,
Yes.
run for office, or go to the
Yes.
meetings and tell your local alderman, your local selectmen, your local city councilors, we want hand counts from now on.
Yeah.
That's a local issue, and that's where it's got to be done. You do not want the state controlling it. That's
No.
like us saying, hey, you know what? We don't want this anymore. We want the feds to do it.
Right. I don't want to give them anything.
And that's exactly what people are asking, but I don't think they realize that's
Right.
what they're asking. Oh, you have the power, Senator, to get the audit. Well, you also have the power to make a change locally.
Exactly.
And the time is now for you, and I'm talking to the general public,
Yeah.
and forgive me for saying this, but stop being lazy. Get off your butt. Get involved locally because things are happening.
And for people that, that can't do a state rep because it's during the day or whatever, a lot of your select boards, school boards, planning boards, all of those meet at night. It's 2 hours, every other week or something? I mean, I don't even know if most of them meet weekly, So
Get involved.
especially locally, because so much of what affects your property taxes, your city, your kids
60 to
is
70%
in your town.
is your
And
school board.
happens exactly,
Right.
So, get involved.
And it's a shame that there are local politicians that say, well, it's downshifting, it's downshifting, it's downshifting. No, it isn't. It's local.
Yeah,
It's local. It's local.
it is.
Get involved. And I don't mean to insult the public out there. I know everybody's busy. I still have to work for a living.
Yeah.
I still go out there and clean carpets and do whatever I've got to do to make a living. And I still have time to work at our freedom, to work at our in public service. I brought this up to another group of people not too long ago. Our liberties are like living on a farm. Literally, the farmer gets up every day.
Yeah.
He or she has to milk the cows, got to do the plowing, got to do whatever, and it's a 7-day-a-week job.
Yes, it is.
To protect their farm, to make sure that the animals are taken care of, and the environment taken care of, the whole 9 yards. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Liberty is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And if you've been taking it for granted for too long, you don't realize that there are people that are working to make sure that it's protected. Right. Our job is not to intrude into the people's lives.
Exactly.
It's to protect their liberties the best we can.
Right.
Look out for individuals. But,
I
it's hard to say, hey, look, some of the responsibilities on your shoulders, not just the legislature. Get involved.
And pay attention who you're voting for.
Right. Well, how many times have you heard, well, I don't know who to vote for. I just do what my dad says, or I do what my mom says.
Right.
And that's a sign that, you got to get involved.
Yeah.
We had a gun issue where an individual called me up and he said, Senator, I don't know much about politics and I don't know much about these gun bills, but I want you to do this. And I said, well, now step back. Mm-hmm. You're the perfect target for these organizations to exploit you. Yeah. They got your email. They want you to contact me to do something that you're really not familiar with. Mm-hmm. Does that fit your MO?
Right.
There are a lot of people out there that are thinking the same way. Oh, protect this or get involved with this group. Mm-hmm. And they don't take the time to do the homework. Right.
And one of the things that I can say really annoys me the most is when I get like the cookie cutter emails wanting me to support something. That doesn't show me your passion for or against anything.
Right.
You take the time to write your own email and have a dialogue. Don't follow the cookie cutter stuff because it just doesn't, you didn't put a lot of effort into it,
And if you're not going to put a lot of effort into it, then
Right.
neither are we.
Yeah.
So with that, I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks for
Speaker Pro
having
Tem
me.
Kimberly, or Kim
Yeah.
Rice,
Thank you.
welcome, and thank you for coming. We really appreciate it.
Great. Thanks so
And
much,
you did
Kevin.
a good job.
Thanks.
And thanks for watching Speaking with the Senator. And if you want to come on the show, talk about politics, we'd love to have you. Until next week, we'll see you.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.